A subscriber had asked me, "Hey Mr. CRS, how come your Only Tactical Fans has two Scar 17s and you claim it to be the best 308 battle rifle ever made?" Well, there's an excellent answer for that. Oh, and speaking of which, if you'd like to purchase some of these patches, definitely shop at OnlyTacticalFans.com. So, the reason there are two Scar 17s on here and not any other rifle. Now remember, what I'm about to talk about, that's limited to the original Scar 17H. When you have that non-reciprocating charging handle, or it's in 6.5 Creedmoor, or one of the civilian purposed rifles, that does not count. Those have issues. That's their own problems. I'm talking about the one that the military accepted the contract for, the Scar Heavy. Yes, we can't get the full auto version, but we can get an exact semi-auto version, just with a couple of trigger control group pieces missing. And that would be the Scar 17S.
So both these rifles need to go back to FN. The Flat Dark Earth gun needs the update to the bolt and the firing pin, and the black one has to go back because now it has functional issues it didn't have before I sent it in for the fix. So I'm going to send it in with a note saying, please don't mess with the gas system, just swap out the bolt on this gun, and this gun I'm going to send in with a letter like, can you put it back to however you found it, because now it doesn't cycle properly.
Oh, we broke it.
You broke it?
Yeah, she broke it. Okay, next.
So the reason that is on there and not any other 308 battle rifle, because there's plenty of them to choose from. Three separate categories: reliability, standardization, and accuracy. So, how am I saying that the Scar is the best in those categories? Well, let me break it down for you. Now, see, the AR-10 would be my pick. Without a doubt, that would be my pick. It would not be a Scar 17. Like a AR-10 A2 carbine, you're looking at 7 pounds. That's incredible. But again, it's got issues. And FN, FAL, those are a bit tankier. Same with an M1A. But anyway, so the reason that it's not an AR-10, there's two different very significant dates in the AR-10 life that killed the standardization. In 1994, you had the AWB. Now, what the AWB was a magazine ban. It went from 94 to 2004. They could not make magazines over 10 rounds. Well, the company in Illinois had bought the brand Armorlight, and they started putting out damn good rifles. And I mean that. The quality rifles. They were premium. They had chrome line barrels, 4150 steel, pinned in front gas blocks. They were good. Another company in Texas bought it now, and they had some sort of hard-on for 3-gun. So all their combat rifles are gone. Now they just got a bunch of range toys that they make. No longer consider the Armorlight AR-10 a combat rifle. But back then, it most certainly was. And it had one Achilles heel. That was the magazine. See, with the Armorlight AR-10, because they were coming out on the civilian market and they could only make 10-round mags, well, that's just stupid. Why would they want to do that? So what they did is they took M14 Army surplus magazines, the body of them, and then the feed ramp, they cut a hole in the side of it and then made it so it would lock into their Armorlight AR-10. Therefore, the civilians could buy Armorlight AR-10s with 20-round magazines, and they weren't violating the law because those magazines were already in existence. They're just converting them over to that particular rifle, which is awesome, because then we got 20-round mags. The downside is that is a shit magazine. It really is. Now, it might work fine in your M14. I don't know. The little trigger time I got on an M1A, it had malfunctions. And that was a brand new M1A with a little bit of trigger time. You know, maybe it's different with other M1As. Maybe that was the exception and not the rule. However, it goes back to our story. So, we didn't get good magazines until it was like 2005, 2006 when the PMag came out. Because the big problem with the internal piston system inside the bolt carrier, which you will see in AR-15s, AR-10s, stuff like that, is when it blows off the gas, a lot of it goes inside the receiver. Not an issue at all today. But back then, we had just normal magazines and they did not have anti-tilt followers. That never happened until the PMag came out. So basically what would happen is this is your bullet or your cartridge, or whatever the hell you want to call it. So you got your magazine right here. The bolt would come to the rear, hit the casing, it would pop up, and then go into the barrel. Okay? Well, when the bolt started slowing down from carbon, and then your magazine just gets covered in carbon, the cartridges would stick to each other, so the bolt would come back, and instead of it popping up like this and going into the barrel, it would do a nosedive, and it would wedge like that, and the bolt would be stuck open. So you'd have to rip out the magazine, throw that cartridge out, put the magazine back in, and recharge it. So it had reliability issues. Again, this wasn't a problem when the PMag came out. They even changed their receiver to accept PMags now. However, they didn't get standardization. So yes, the AR-10 would have ticked off reliability. Now this is specifically the company in Illinois, the Armorlite AR-10. DPMS, those other companies, they never came off as like a quality combat rifle. They would run garbage barrels. They just didn't put them together really well. They came off as a range toy. Now you could buy like premium model DPMSs, which would have your chrome line barrel, your chrome line bolt carrier, pinned in front gas block, but they were like twice as much as like all of the rest of them. So you never seen them on the market. All you ever seen was like the DPMS AR-308 Oracle, I believe is what it was called. And again, garbage barrel, garbage steel on the bolt carrier, just was not something I would consider a combat rifle. So I'm only counting that generation of AR-10s, which I believe it was like 2013 or so, is when it got sold to Texas. So from whenever they bought the company to 2013, that section specifically of Armorlite AR-10s, because again, those were, in my opinion, the only combat rifles. All the rest of the AR-10s were just garbage range toys. They're like the Wish version of AR-10. So anyway, alright, the AWB was lifted 2004. Good magazines came out. So why didn't we get standardization? And that would be because of the SASS program, otherwise known as the M110 program that the military put out. That was a particular contract looking for a semi-automatic sniper rifle. They ultimately winded up going with the Knight's Armament. Now, from what I understand, there was no real advantage to Knight's Armament or Armorlite AR-10. They just so happened to pick Knight's Armament. The problem with that is, one, that did not have the AR-10 name. So that was an SR-25. That's why all your PMags say SR-25 magazine. Okay? The next problem with that is those cost, I'll go on their website right now and get the price, $30,500. Which one of you have pockets deep enough to be able to afford that? Now maybe you can get the Bear rifle for cheaper, and I'm sure you can because that's like a whole entire kit. The point is they were insanely expensive. So, we have the military contract for an AR-10 that's just insane expensive. Crazy expensive. The Armorlite version of that particular rifle was $3,000. Yeah, that was still expensive because remember this is 2004. I remember looking through Armorlite's catalog and be like, but their standard rifles were $1,500, so you paid double for it. The point is they had standard rifles designed specifically for the civilian market. I don't really think Knight's Armament does. They just have their military rifle. I could be wrong. I'm not a Knight's Armament fan because all of it is just way too deep for my pocketbook. So, because of Knight's Armament's lack of a budget-friendly AR-10, well, since they won the contract, no standardization happened. If Armorlite would have won that contract, every single AR-10 would be an Armorlite pattern across the board. They would all be the same. But since they didn't, and Knight's Armament won it, everybody has a different pattern. DPMS, Aero Precision, Armorlite, Ruger, Colt, what's another good one? Stag, Bushmaster, all of them are different in their own way, shape, and form. Some are major difference, some are small differences. The point is, every single one of them is different. So, that's the problem with standardization. Now, the Armorlite AR-10 really never had a problem with accuracy. I never got a lot of accuracy out of mine, but that doesn't mean that other ones weren't accurate. So, let's go on to the next one. The FN-FAL. Why is that not the rifle on this particular patch? That one comes down to accuracy. The FN-FAL, on average, has from 3 to 6 MOA for accuracy. It's all great. You may say, oh, that's only 3 inches at 100 yards. No, you're looking at it wrong. When they're talking about the rifle itself having 3 to 6 MOA of accuracy, that's not including your accuracy. So let's pretend you're a 1 MOA shooter. Well, you would think, oh, that'd be 4 MOA accuracy. Now, I get some FN FALs are incredibly accurate. Those are the exceptions. That's not the rule. The rule is 3 to 6. So how you look at accuracy is you got your accuracy right here. We're going to say it's 1 MOA. So hypothetically speaking, you could hit anywhere in a 1 MOA circle. Now you look at the gun's accuracy. That would be 3 MOA. So hypothetically speaking, you could hit anywhere in this circle. Let's say you hit right here. This is where your sights are. This ain't where the bullet lands. Now the bullet can land anywhere in there. So that means a 3 MOA rifle, that's 3 MOA by itself, worst case scenario, you are guaranteed to get a first round hit on a 7 MOA circle. Now, if it's a 6 MOA rifle, worst case scenario, you're guaranteed to get a 13 MOA hit. That's 13 inches at 100 yards. Or 7 inches at 100 yards, depending on, your luck of the draw and how accurate your FN FAL is. Now, that's worst case scenario. Realistically, you'd actually cut these in half. So this would be 1.5, 1.5, so that'd be 3, and that would be 4 MOA. That's realistically what kind of pattern you're going to spit on a 3 MOA rifle, because you have to include your MOA in it as well. And for 6, so then you cut this in half, you'd have 3 MOA, 3 MOA, and the reason you cut it in half is because say you aimed right here, well, the rifle could hit anywhere in this area. Say you aimed right here, the rifle could hit anywhere in this area. So you'd go across, so you'd have 6, 7 MOA. The point is, that's guaranteed first round hit. As you start pushing that range out, yeah, 7 MOA, that can get a headshot at 100 yards. But at 500 yards, you're looking at 30-some inches. You're not even guaranteed to hit a human-sized silhouette at 500 yards. Not saying you couldn't, but a guaranteed, if I pull the trigger, I will connect at that particular range. And the FNFAL just totally fails in that. Now, for the M1A, it's reliability. Remember, this was invented, a long time ago, and the whole action is exposed. Several channels have done testing on this. This is just not my opinion. This is how it is. They're not reliable in any adverse conditions whatsoever. They're just not. Snow, mud, water, doesn't really matter. It jams them up because the whole action is exposed and it's not protected. And they typically have a tighter chamber, and the bolt carrier is really light. Like when I did my testing on it, I ran into malfunction after malfunction after malfunction. Yeah, it turned out to be the ammo, but you know what? That ammo that would make the M1A malfunction ran flawlessly in the SCAR. So, we could go with something that doesn't have a standardization. We could go with something that's ridiculously inaccurate, or we can go to something that has 0 for reliability. So, what do we go with? That would be where the SCAR comes in, for a few different reasons. Number 1, 8 pounds flat. That's incredible. For a 308, 8 pounds, yeah, the AR-10 is lighter, however, they're not standardized. So, I don't even know what parts may or may not go in it. I don't know. I gotta look at each individual receiver, see what it's compatible with, and remember, compatibility, now you got one company manufacturing this part, with their tolerance spec, and you have a whole nother company manufacturing this part to their tolerance spec, and you got tolerance stacking. Now all of a sudden you have problems and issues because everything's made at a whole bunch of different companies. No standardization. Because you'd have to build your rifle. I don't think there's a good company out there that has a pinned-in gas block, chrome line barrel, chrome line bolt carrier, so you're going to have to mix and match parts to put a good rifle together. So the SCAR 17, right out of the box, 8 pounds flat, and you know what else it does? 1 MOA. That's the rule. That's not the exception. The rule is 1 MOA. The exceptions are ones that are below 1 MOA and at above. The average across the board, you can go to hundreds of YouTube videos and see this, 1 MOA. So we're looking at 3 to 6 times more accurate than the FNFAL. They're ridiculously reliable, so we have that over the M1A. And when you purchase it right out of the box, all the good parts are already on it. You already have a pinned-in gas block. You already have a chrome line barrel. You already have a light rifle. You already have a good magazine. Everything is ready to go immediately, right out of the box. You just don't get that in any of those other platforms. You're always giving up something. Again, standardization, reliability, and accuracy. And that's what makes the SCAR 17 my favorite rifle. I know I already said it, twice? 3 times now? But I'm going to repeat that it's only for the original. When they started doing the non-reciprocating charging handle and the 6.5 Creedmoor, they flushed reliability down the toilet. So it's missing one of those things. But again, it's standardized, it's reliable, and it's accurate. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but you get all those categories. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel directly, go to shoponlytacticalfans.com. And this is important because my major trial date's coming up here, and that's how I'm going to pay for the whole thing. Couldn't do it without your guys' support, and I just want to say thank you. Again, thank you. I don't know how I would have done this without your guys' support. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.